Hi guys, I'm Kevin. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make backcountry miso soup. So if you're familiar with this channel, you know that I like to take new recipes and dehydrate them and convert them for use in the backcountry. Today we're going to make miso soup. When I go to a Japanese restaurant, I really enjoy a nice little bowl of miso soup as an appetizer before my meal. But I'm going to convert this soup. I'm going to make it a little bit more hearty by adding some other ingredients so it stands as a full meal on its own. First, we're going to want some shiitake mushrooms. We're just going to cut them up, suitable for dehydrating. If the stem's a little bit dirty, just cut that off, get rid of it. That's looking good. Next, some green onions. We're going to cut off the ends and get rid of those. And again, we're just going to cut this up into pieces small enough for dehydrating. Come on, Kev, you can go faster than that. There you go, that's better. All right. Those are looking good. Next, some Savoy Cabbage. I always take the couple first leaves off my cabbage just to make sure it's nice and clean. Then I'll slice it right down the middle through the stem. And I'll cut into that stem on an angle from both sides. And then it should pluck right out of there fairly easily. Then you can cut it up as you like. I'm going to cut it in half and then cut some nice long strips for the soup. Perfect. Again, that's looking good. Now for some tofu. Not my favorite ingredient, but I try and make my meals as authentic as possible. So I'm just going to slice this up. This is medium tofu. You could get firm tofu as well. That would work fine. Just going to slice it up into small pieces suitable for floating in soup. Perfect. Now for some nori. Nori is often called seaweed. It's actually a dried red algae that's spread on dehydrating racks and dried into these sheets. You can cut it up and float it in some soup, or you can use it to roll up sushi. I'm going to cut it into squares, similar to what I find when I go to a Japanese restaurant. I find the squares are just a little bit larger than what work very well in a spoon. So I think that's part of the game, is that they're supposed to be a little bit troublesome to get onto a spoon and into your mouth. Now for the Udon Noodles. These are a wheat noodle. They cook quite fast, actually. These are individually wrapped for individual servings. Do not forget to take off that red wrapper before you put it in the water. I've done that before. So just throw them into boiling water. They cook really fast. They should be done in about 4 minutes. Give them a stir. And then we're going to drain them in a colander. And let's get those to a dehydrating tray right away so they don't stick. So probably the number one question I get asked about my food videos is, why do you cook your pasta and then dehydrate it? Why don't you just take your raw pasta and cook it in the backcountry? Well, the number one reason is to save fuel. If I was to cook pasta out in the backcountry, I'd heat up a pot of water, bring it to a boil, throw in my pasta, simmer it for 8 to 12 minutes depending on the pasta, and that's a lot of burning time, that's a lot of fuel. When I rehydrate pasta in the backcountry, I'm just putting it in a pot, covering it with a bit of water, and then I bring it to a boil. That usually only takes about 2 minutes, and then I turn off the heat, put the meal in a pot cozy, and let it rehydrate. I should do a test on this sometime. I think it would make a really interesting video, but I think that I'm probably consuming about 1/5 the amount of fuel I would consume if I was to cook my pasta in the backcountry. I used to bring raw pasta on camping trips, and the first step in my learning process was to switch from spaghetti to spaghettini because it cooks a lot faster and uses a lot less fuel. Those are my mushrooms on the bottom rack, and I'm putting in a spacer, and I'm going to put my onions on top. That's so that pieces of onion don't fall down and get in with my mushrooms. Just going to spread those around. Again, another spacer with a solid liner, and then a finer mesh rack, and that's where I'll put the tofu. Again, that's so that if any tofu falls through the rack, it's going to hit that tray below and won't get mixed in with the onions. And here's my cabbage, couple layers of that. And last but not least, the miso paste. So there's an awful lot of instant miso soups out there on the market. You'll have no problem finding them. Unfortunately, most of those are filled with MSG and other mysterious ingredients. If you look hard enough, you'll be able to find real miso paste. I found this in a bulk food store. You can look at a health food store or in Asian markets. Miso is made with salt and fermented soybeans and sometimes other grains. In this case, it's got some fermented brown rice. Miso can be used to add flavor to soups and broths, and it's a little bit salty, and it dehydrates very, very well. So I'm just going to spread the miso paste out on a dehydrator tray. It's a bit sticky. Do your best. And then we'll set that to dehydrate at 135 Fahrenheit. Alright, let's put this together. There's my dehydrated udon noodles. I'll throw in a few shiitake mushrooms and some green onions and my tofu and some cabbage and then my nori. That's about it. And lastly, I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons of dried miso paste. I'm going to put it in a coffee grinder just to grind it up so it rehydrates better. Perfect. That'll be great. That'll go in the bag too. Right, I'm going to package everything up. Normally my meals are 150 grams. This is a soup, so I'm less than 100 grams here for my my soup meal. It's going to have a lot more water than most of my other meals do. Okay, let's rehydrate this. I'm going to dump it into my pot. Give it a shake so it's relatively flat. Then I'm going to add some water. I'm going to add more than I usually do. Usually I just add enough to cover the meal. I'm going to add a little bit more here. And I'm going to start my stove. Put the lid on it. Let it come to a boil. And after it does, look at that. Looks great. Lots of different colors of green in there. I like that. Alright, I'm going to take it off the heat. Turn off my stove. And put my meal inside a pot cozy so it rehydrates properly. Give it about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll open it up. And looking good. Looks like an awesome miso soup. So this soup looks really good. Does it taste good? Let's find out. Very good. Shiitake mushrooms are almost perfect. Try some noodles. They're hard to get. Need some chopsticks here, I think. Excellent. I think this is a real winner. I'm going to make sure I work this into the rotation of meals that I normally bring on a backcountry trip. Right guys, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.